Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FiTT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FiTT Show, helping people get their finances in shape. It's such a lovely day in the neighborhood. Glad to have everybody around the country and around the world. Yes, we reaching across the pond to my friends in England and Scotland and Ireland in Amsterdam and in Germany and even Australia. So thank you for tuning in today, ladies and gentlemen. So glad to have you here. Today's November 13th. This is our 220th show, and it's 4 straight years running, though. So we really appreciate all the people who've been with us from the beginning. We really appreciate that. And just want to give a couple of administrative duties that let you know that we are not financial advisors. We are financial educators. And we try to provide you with information that you can use. And we know no, no one size fits all. Jesus, they said, Jesus had more than just one suit. But we just want to make sure that you understand that we're not qualified advisors. So we have no fiduciary responsibility. We use a lot of information from different resources, like Smart News, Fidelity, Vanguard, um, and Kiplinger. So, and we get it from a lot of places, but we want to give that full disclosure that we use that information. We're not selling any products. We don't sell anything. We just giving you information, news that you can use. So make sure that you click, put comments in the comment box because that helps us reach more people. That's how the algorithms work on Facebook. And please click on the also the like button and the heart button. As many times they count separately, so you can't click on it enough. They count individually, so we really appreciate if you did that. Also, if you have a comment or opinion or comment on anything or question on anything that we be providing to you, put it in the comment box. And if you have a topic you'd like for us to cover, or there's a particular question you had about some other particular financial, and if it's within our purview, we will cover it today, or if it's too far outside, we will get back to you the next show. But we would like to make this interactive. We're in a virtual studio, so how you can make it interactive is by you using that comment box. So please keep that in mind. And last week's show, ladies and gentlemen, was what about mid caps? And we talked about mid caps, which the small caps, mid caps, and large caps when it comes to investing. And we tried to provide you with new and information that you can use, and we hope that was very helpful to you. But today, our topic is navigating family wealth.
Yeah, and first question, what the heck is that about?
You're
And if
right.
you think about it, every family, they get their own way of figuring out how they relate to wealth and how they make decisions about money. But what we're going to do is discuss 5 core practices that can help you think through how you can best use your wealth and how you can use your wealth with intention. And that intention is what you plan for it to do. So our mission today is to help you define the purpose of wealth and be intentional about the wealth's impact on you and your family, particularly your children, so you can help get them off to the right on the right track and put them ahead of where we were. And so again, everybody's going to get their own approach, but these core practices are going to give you a framework for doing that effectively. And we've always talked about how we grew up without that framework. We just kind of, I don't want to say lucked in, but definitely truly blessed, but we had a lot of things go right for us. But this framework can help you figure out and put you on a path to building wealth.
Yeah, and today's information comes from Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. And it is clear, they say it's clear that wealth brings tremendous opportunities and can also bring numerous challenges, including significant responsibility and the potential for unintended consequences. So many families really go through financial changes. So, how can a family increase the probability that its wealth serves as an empowering tool rather than a tool that dispowers them and becomes a burden? Now, the following core practices may sound simple, but they're not easy to implement. Me and Doe talk about this all the time. You know, building wealth is really not easy. It takes work. But we found that families who preserve and are committed to value-based practices, identifying their purpose, translating the purpose, and communicating with one another regularly, and learning through experience, and engaging the support of a strong financial team. They're able to sustain not only their wealth but also be able to enhance their family's well-being. So, with that, we want to get into today's show. Everybody's coming on, and so glad to see y'all tuning in. So, Dope, um, it's going to be an interesting show, and we really want y'all to. Um, we talk a lot every week, and we would like for y'all to apply this. So we want to talk about not just talking about the what, but we also like to talk about why it's important. So let's start off though with sharing the top of the show. We always start with the stock market and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I wish I had better news, but if you guys have been listening, I've been telling you how nervous I am about this market. And there's several reasons. One is we haven't had any inflation data in a while. I expect it to be negative. I don't need to get a government report to tell me how expensive things are right now. Everything but gas. Gas is the only thing that's reasonably priced right now, or that hasn't gone up. And so I expect that news to be negative. And what that means is that the market, Fed cutting interest rates, that everybody had baked into the market the Fed cutting interest rates in December, but now that's up in the air. And again, that's already been baked into the market. So you take those two things, just with all the uncertainty, and the market's reacting to it. It had a big drop today. The week to week isn't too volatile, but it's been some crazy ups and downs this past week. And it looks like there hasn't been that much change, but it's really been crazy. S&P is basically flat. NASDAQ's down almost 1%. Microsoft's actually up 6% because we had that big drop last week. Apple's up 3%, Nvidia's down 1%, Google's down 6%, Pfizer's actually up 1%, Palantir's down 3%. United Health has recovered. That's the one I told you I thought about bailing, but I think I'm going to hold on to that one. I just think they kind of hit bottom, and the new CEO is kind of trying to head them in the right direction. And finally, Corning dropped 6%. And the other thing that's pulling the market down is there's this there's this fact that there's so many overvalued companies, especially on the AI side. And what's really interesting about this whole phenomena is that the AI companies, the big companies, are generating a lot of revenue. And that revenue is coming from a lot of startups who are doing like data centers and that sort of thing, who are losing lots of money. They are just losing all kind of money. So a lot of people are financing that. But if something good doesn't come out of all this money being invested, it's going to be catastrophic because all of the valuations of Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Google, it's all based on AI and AI spending. And Microsoft and Google, they're actually generating income. Nvidia is selling chips, but the companies who are buying those things, if they aren't going to generate something tangible, then it will definitely be a bubble and things will be crazy. So as I told you before, I'm very, very leery about things right now. Now I say all that to say I haven't sold anything. I haven't, I'm not talking into the world, but I just think things are going to be crazy volatile for a little while. So that's how I feel.
So, though, I just want to bring to people's attention these numbers. The change could be misleading because remember, this is the change from last week. But the change today, the market took a big hit. The Dow Jones 30 was down 798 points. The NASDAQ, which is mostly where all the tech stocks are, was down 538 points, and the S&P 500 was down 113. Now, gold, believe it or not, gold was actually down, but it's up from last week. It's up to $4,178 an ounce. And silver is up the highest it's been also with gold. Silver is up to $52 an ounce. I got into silver in 2017. It was $16 an ounce. So, once again, we talk about diversification. We talk about the long play, and we talk about having a strategy. So don't panic, but do have a strategy. A strategy to enter and a strategy to exit. But we believe in a long play. So just stick to your plan, and you should be okay. Dope.
And Bob,
yes.
To your point, look at the year-to-date changes. I mean, everything is pretty positive on the year-to-date.
Right.
Except, Pfizer's down slightly, and I told you United Healthcare is down for the year, but that's the one I didn't get. I got in at 301, so I'm up. So everything is positive right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in the year close to where we started the year. That would not surprise me, and that would be a pretty considerable drop from where we are now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the interesting thing about all of these AI companies, everybody's going to AI and using AI in some form. I was reading the other day information about, how now these terror attacks is not about, bombs and things. It's about like shutting down like electrical grids and water grids, because everything is actually based on what's the word I'm looking for? It's all based on technologies, right? Even the water's on grids, and they were talking about all these companies with using AI, and they hit the electric grid. That could be a big shock. But so, like we always say, make sure you have some money, cash on hand. I mean, physical cash, on hand, just in case. You just never know. So, let's get into the next topic. Cryptocurrency. The market is being crushed. Even though it's just down 78 billion, that's only 2%, believe it or not, y'all, because it's $3.4 trillion. That's the market cap. But the Bitcoin, the number one coin, first invented coin, is down. It says only 2% from last week, but it's down by $2,416. Remember, the week before it was about $3,000. The week before it might have been $9,000. It is down from $121,000 a Bitcoin to $98,725,000. Still no time to panic. And like we said, if you just using money, your little money that you saved in the piggy bank, this is not, the money that you needs for emergencies, then no need to panic. But all of them are down except Ripple, believe it or not, which is a stable coin, and it's up by 9%. It's up by 4%, but all the other coins down. Remember, there's over about 8 to 9,000 active cryptocurrency, and it's over 45,000 cryptocurrencies. There's only 8 or 9,000 active, and that's why we follow the top 6. Now, it's upon you if you want to venture into other ones lower than that, but these are the ones that have been kind of, pretty much steady. But like we say, be careful. You only put money in here that you can do without if you lose some of your returns. So, dope. Let's get into our show for today.
Okay, and now the first of those core principles that we're going to talk about shouldn't be a surprise to you, but it's to define a concrete purpose for wealth that's rooted in what your family's trying to do, in their values, okay? So typically families who succeed in maximizing well-being and sustaining values and pass money from generations to generations are those that take the time and ask the question and answer the questions, key questions about the purpose of their wealth. And everybody looks at the quantitative aspect or the dollars involved, like how much should I invest here? How much should I invest there? And those are all important, but it's also important to look at the qualitative aspects of wealth, such as what is money ultimately for? What are our goals as a family? Okay, those things are more qualitative than number oriented. So answers to those questions can guide your family's decision making on things like investment strategies, based on your risk tolerance and time horizons, financial and estate planning in terms of gifting and taking a broader view of how you're going to keep your wealth, philanthropic strategies such as investing not only money, but also time and how family members will be engaged. And so once you've identified your purpose, you can start to articulate what values you associate with your family's wealth in support of that purpose. For example, family may identify part of their purpose of wealth as providing financial freedom to family members while still keeping some skin in the game. Their related values included, thoughtful spending, raising productive and responsible children, and constructive communication throughout the whole family.
Yeah, that's real talk. So that's the purpose. But let's talk about the next core principle, which is actually, translating your purpose into principles. And, that sounds pretty, logical, but you need to transform the purpose of your wealth into operating principles and guidelines to help drive your decision making. Now, this core practice is about getting even more specific. Once a family's broad intentions for wealth have been identified, like Dope says, and how does this knowledge help the family decide how they will or won't use their wealth? It's almost like qualitative versus quantitative. Qualitative is the purpose. Quantitative is how can you measure it? How do you put it in action? So clearly defined guidelines for how wealth is intended to be used can also help everyone understand the rationale for how decisions are made and can set the stage for the idea that's what's fair isn't always equal. And we get into those family decisions. Everybody's got different opinions. So take it, for example, education. Many families are willing to support their children's or their grandchildren's education through graduate school because the family values education as a way to empower and equip their family members and to them and helps them pursue their goals. Now, within this framework, children who choose to end schooling at the undergraduate level degree may receive less monetary support compared to those who was earning, a PhD, because sometimes they might think that's fair and unfair. But why not equal in terms of dollar amounts? Many will prefer this as fair as long as the rules of the access to support was set up in advance. Is that one of the principles for you to go and get it, and you'll get more money as long as you continue all the way through graduate school? If that's what you decide as a family, then it seems more people will accept it more. But it's all about setting clear guidelines, you all, and goals.
The next important thing, and this is one that typically gets lost, is to communicate. Communication is so important when trying to build wealth. So you got to develop a process about wealth as a regular, recurring practice. So everybody stays on the same page, everybody understands what the goals are, and everybody is consistently working towards those goals. And so a lot of times, people who have money often refrain from talking about wealth and how they plan to distribute it among family members out of fear that the conversation will go crazy. Okay. And that discomfort is sometimes made worse by the fact that everything might need to be put out in one conversation. But that can't be one conversation. That has to be constant communication over and over. Provide updates, provide changes. Those kind of things have to be constantly communicated. And you'll find that families who are successful, they adopt a more integrated approach to communicating, discussing family values related to money, and they start as early as possible with kids, and they keep it going consistently so everybody's always on the same page and understand where you're headed.
And I think that's an important one, Dope, because I know a lot of families, especially when I was growing up, and it could just been, where my, what family was, my mother was in her education, because she taught us math, reading, and everything, man, and writing. But she didn't have the basic principles or to communicate, the financial aspect. And it's so important that you communicate early with your kids on that. The next one, though, core value is actually learn experientially.
Exponentially.
Experientially. Say that, Bill.
Say that 5 times real fast.
So look, this builds skills through experience, and that's what it's saying, experience, and commit to learning over time. Now, wealth management, as we discussed, is complicated with many facets, and we know that, and we need to respect that. For the uninitiated, it can be overwhelming. Families who are navigating this territory together do best when the entire family commits to identifying the skills that need to be developed to support their goals and, more important, their intentions, and then works to build those skills across generations. I mean, it's so important that we teach so many other things. We teach sports, we teach manners and etiquette, but we really need to really start teaching, financial principles. And the skill set of wealth creating generation will differ from skills required subsequent generations to sustain, wealth. And it will often require building competencies in wealth, finance, business, governance, control, and philanthropy. And family leaders can make it a point to create opportunities for everyone to learn together. And this is what I think a lot of people need to do, man, because this can take the form of a safe to fail experiments, which are low stakes opportunities for family members to build some competent skills. For example, the wealth creating generation can provide a budget for the rising generation to plan a family vacation. And this gives the younger family members a chance to think about values, which is important because remember, people make decisions on what is important to them. And normally it's your values that lead to making those decisions. And it lead to trade-offs, and you can learn the practice of making shared decisions. because everyone gets to reap from the benefits of creating planning. Because with me, I used to take Melody when I would do my financial workshops for adults and have her be the receptionist and check people in, but she would sit in the classes too, and at a young age, right? And she came to me not too long ago and would say, "Hey, Dad, I want to know more about mortgages. What is the principal and the interest? What is the 30 year and 15?" And I was, man, wow, because I started early exposing to those. Now, some families can create another type of structure, such as, and this is a good one though, and I wish I did this, and still probably might do this. It's called the family owned LLC, a limited liability company, right? And this, helps to engage the rising generation in limited ownership and to further their learning process, while others make a point of revealing financial information and strategies at a developmental approach, especially in those early ages in their child life. Now, either way, when they come of age and start receiving distributions, money, children who learn financial principles early will have a context of understanding wealth, giving them a leg up when it comes to saving and spending.
And this last principle is a little bit tricky. It's a function of you need it more the more wealth you create. And what this is for you to determine where you get help. Okay. First of all, whether you need an advisor and somebody who has a technical expertise, but who also invest the time to truly understand your situations and how things change might affect your situations. And so people who do well, they get input from a strong advisory team. That could be you, that could be a friend, and it typically includes an accountant or a financial advisor, an estate attorney, and a financial advisor. Those are three different and unique skill sets. And each has their own specific technical experience, expertise, and they should be able to understand your particular situation. And so that one's tricky because a lot of times you don't know you need that until it's too late. But those three levels of expertise are all truly important. And a lot of people who don't have money or don't have a lot of money tend to shy away from getting that expertise when it might be a situation where let's forget about the state attorney for a minute. Let's just talk about the accountant who does your taxes and the financial advisor who provides you with skill, the talent to help you figure out where your money goes and keep you on your straight path when it comes to investments. But the accountant may help you with some tax breaks that may put more money in your pocket. It can help, he or she can help you with planning to make sure you make tax-wise decisions. And those are things, a lot of times people won't spend the money to do those because it not saying it's crazy expensive, but it is typically not cheap to get a good one. But more often than not, the rewards for having used one of those people will more than offset their value. And if you get one and you don't see the value, then obviously you can make another move. But I'd encourage everyone to make sure you at least talk to a tax advisor to make sure you are doing the things that you need to do, like for now and for the future. I think I shared before that when I was retiring and before Medicare, I didn't know about some of the things that were going to happen with Medicare. And probably, I'm a CPA myself, but I just didn't know that. But those are the kind of things where a tax accountant could have helped. And I may have saved a little bit of money, but I missed it, so not a big deal. But a financial advisor is somebody to bounce ideas off of, to help you determine where you should invest your money, to make sure your risk tolerance is reflected in your investment portfolio. And a lot of times people don't see the forest for the trees, or they saving pennies and losing dollars because they don't have that expertise. And so you'll have to determine whether those two specific functions, tax accountant and financial advisor, can help you. And in the case of a financial advisor, most firms will give you a complimentary review of what they'll do for you, what they'll do and what they'll charge also. And it might be worth your while to at least have that conversation to see if maybe they can provide you some expertise that you can use to make more money than you're currently making to build your wealth. So just a thought. In most cases, and the other thing I want to say is that gets more necessary the more wealth you have, okay? Because it changes with the more money you have, and it changes as things change in the tax laws, as things change with your age, as things change with your personal experiences. And it's hard for anybody to keep up with all those things.
And I want to bring this all together, though, that these 5 core practices may sound simple, but they're not easy to implement. We found that families who persevered and committed to these value-based practices, identifying their purpose, translating the purpose, and communicating it regularly, learn through experience, and engage in the sport of a strong, like Doe said, team, are able to sustain not only their wealth, but also enhance the well-being of their families. So we hope you got those 5 core values, because and there could be more, but those are the ones we feel are pretty significant. The purpose, the principles, the communicating, to having a good team, and actually learning from experience is the biggest tool. Dude, how did these apply to you, man?
Well, I did it kind of informally. I think I grew up, having grown up with not a lot of money and starting from zero. And the influence of my mother was always to the conservative side. Don't overextend yourself credit wise. Make sure you got some money in the bank. One of her famous sayings was, "It's a poor rat that only has one hole." So I kind of lived my life that way, of not spending a lot of money. So I accumulated a lot of money. Now, I probably could have enjoyed it more, spent more earlier, but hey, we did all right. We lived a pretty good life. Got all the kids through college. Didn't have to borrow no money for that. So it's all well and good. But a lot of times, had I had some of these things, it would have been better, because somebody would have said, "Hey, you don't need to be so conservative." And a couple of mistakes I made, I would have straightened out had I had used these core principles to figure out how to build wealth.
Well, my thing, though, when I was entering to the market, the workforce, and even when I played professional basketball, and I guess because I came from meager means, I never really was a person that chased the dollar, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never really, really set financial goals. And through the grace of God, it seemed like I always was able to provide for myself, but I never really valued money that much, so I didn't have the drive. And I remember when I went to first start playing pro ball and applied for a job at IBM, and no, it's Xerox, excuse me, and it's for the Salesforce, and they are a capitalist company, and they want aggressive salesmen. So on the psychological test, I was checking things like, uh, I wanted to be fair and treat people, real good, and be a philanthropist and work with social justice. Man, them boys kicked me out of that office, man. So what I'm saying is, because I didn't have that strong, I wasn't really interested in learning more. But then when I realized, I'm like, whoa, 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 I need to get more knowledge, and because I came out with a sociology anthropology degree, but then something just clicked though. I got with this firm, financial firm, and I started, wanting to know more. How can I expand my wealth and because it was just me, my safety net, my family. Everybody had their family. They're trying to make it. And so I really had no safety net. And that's when I started really I was just sucking up. I was just reading at nights, just anything about building wealth, about finance. And that's what took me, that whole purpose thing. And then learning about, the principles and guidelines is what really drove me. So, and I look back now, I wish I would have started early, but hey, you know what I'm saying?
It all worked
I
out.
have no regrets, I have no regrets. And so we like to ask everybody on tonight's show, right? And use the comment box. Share, what is your purpose for money? Now, there's no right or wrong answer, but so what is your purpose? Some people's is for shelter. Some people is to so they can live footloose and fancy free life and retirement and travel. Some people is that all their kids end up going to school. There's so many things, but we like for you to share tonight and use the comment box. What is your purpose for money? And remember, it's no right or wrong, but we like for you to share with us. Put it in the comment box and take it for a quick minute to think about it. Modestine said it's never too late. That's so true, Modestine. But yeah, use the comment box, y'all. Let us know, what do you feel the purpose of money for you?
And Bob, you'll be amazed at how once you define that, how your spending habits will change, because you'll figure out what's important, and you won't waste money on things that aren't important to you. A lot of things you do out of habit, a lot of things you do because you're keyed by a marketing scheme of some sort. But if you really lay out what your purpose of money is, you'll end up doing better that way, and spending less money. You will spend your money intentionally.
Okay. We got Joanne said to live comfortably. Okay, yeah, I see that. And let me see, Garnett, live like, oh, both of y'all on the same too, to live comfortably. And here you go, my sister Nolia, food, shelter, saving for some rainy day, and purchasing shoes that lift my spirit. That's funny. See what she said though. Purchasing shoes that lift my spirit. Oh God, that's funny, Noli. Modestine says to have enough to live comfortably and leave something to my family. Okay, cool. And that's interesting because there's several people that say they just want to live comfortably, though. And I think I'm in that, because I notice a lot of people on here, not, just, this gotta have, the biggest house, the biggest car, and it seems like a lot of people live within their means. And then we got, my sister Linda. Spend it. Oh, okay, Linda, that's good. Spend it wisely. I love that. And this, my good friend Selena says, at this point in my life, I want to be more of a blessing to those I love and for those in need. I want to provide different resources in addition to giving money. Whoa, thank you, Selena. that is that's wonderful, man. But we just wanted to know what's on your mind because, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. But the thing is, uh, once you decide on what your purpose is or for your money, and you make sure, like me and Dote always talk about, having a plan to navigate it, um, it's so important that you be able to reach those goals because they said the only worst thing than being um, blind is having eyes and having no vision. And that's not my quote of the day, by the way. That just came off the top of my head. But thank y'all for sharing. Oh, okay. What we got here? We got people chiming in. Chat. Living a comfortable life, helping those in need, and saving for my children when I'm gone. That's great. That's awesome, Carl. And thank you all for sharing because there's a lot going on out there. And I believe one of the solutions, though, is making sure that you have your finances in order so that, should there be a crash, should there be increase in inflation in goods and products, that you may have a shock, but it's just going to shock you, but you're going to have enough cushion that you'll be able to weather the storm, excuse me. So thank you for sharing. So don't like to go down and give a roll call.
Let's wrap it up first, Bob.
That's a good idea, Dope. You know what, Dope? That's why you're on this show. Where would I be without you? So let's go to summary and takeaways before I get into.
Okay, I'll start us off, Bob. And the first one, how we started with these 5 core principles, is you got to know where you're going. You got to sit down and figure out what your purpose is, what you're about, where you want to go. That's always job one, to know where you are going.
The next one is develop a strategy to get there. Because once you came up with where you want to go, it's just like when Dote, he's in Charlotte, I'm in Bowie. If we go in the same place, but it's going to be take a different route to get there. So develop a strategy to get there.
Next, you got to talk. You have to have conversations, whether it's with your kids, your spouse, your partner, whoever it is, to make sure everybody's on the same page. And they have to be consistent. They have to be constant. One conversation is not going to solve all your problems or put you on the right path.
And this one is so important. Learning is a continuous process. They say what happens when you've learned everything you need to learn? Then you got to learn how to apply what you learned. So learning is always continuous. And nowadays with the information highway, the internet, there's so many places to get information. So there's no excuse not to go out there. So it's a continuous process and keep learning. I learn something new every day.
And last but not least, is take action. It's one thing to listen to us talk about this stuff, but if you aren't applying some of the things we're talking about or researching some of the things we're talking about and figuring out how it can help you make money, then you're not really getting the value out of it. So take action. Figure out what you can do to help you build wealth.
That's it's so important, you all, because this has been 4 years, and me and Dope just hope that you take and apply. Like I said, once you learn, then you got to learn how to apply what you learn. So please take heed with that. We're so thankful for everybody who's on here. I know we want to start off with my little brother Carl Chapman, been with us since the beginning. Motor Steen down there in Lexington, South Carolina, been with us since the start. And today joining us is the wonderful Michelle Selena Grant, my good friend who's with Global Financial, if I'm right, Michelle. She has a company that deals with wealth building, and you need to put your website out there for us, Selena, so I can put it up on the screen should anybody be interested in checking you out. My wonderful sister Noli, hello Noli, Garnett, and my wonderful sister Linda. Glad to see both of you all. We went to 10th Street Baptist Church Men's Day last Sunday to see our brother Steve in the men's choir, which, if y'all don't understand, to see our brother, my oldest brother, who's getting ready to be 81, in the choir, oh my God, because he's come out of the fire. Great guy. Joanne, so good to see you. And the wonderful, I think this is now 577. Is that now, though? 577?
577?
Yeah, at 577. Now at 5, it says now. So that's you. Hey, now, what's up, girl? Glad to see you. And I got everybody. I think I have everybody. Yes, I do. So thank y'all for tuning in. And today's quote of the day from Bobby Special K. What is more dangerous? I lost it. What is more dangerous?
Losing your place, that's dangerous.
What is more dangerous? I don't need it. I don't need no daggone notes. What is more dangerous, though? A person who is not afraid to die, or a person who is willing to live for everything. Did I say it right? Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What is more dangerous? A man who is not afraid to die, or a man that's willing to live for everything? I think that's it, though. Somehow it seems
makes sense. It make both of them are extremely dangerous.
Yeah, right. But which one? I like the man who has everything. No, it's the man that has. No, I'm sorry. Let me get it straight. What is more dangerous? A man who's not afraid to die, or a man who's willing to live for life? I'll have it straight next week, you all. Oh, God.
On that
note. On that note, but y'all got the gist what I'm saying. So look, everybody, have a good week and look forward to seeing you next week. Same back channel, 8 p.m. And the week after that is Thanksgiving Day week. We do not do major holidays. We won't be doing the 27th, if I'm right. Yeah, that's Thanksgiving. But we will be doing next week. So tune in for another interesting topic. And thank you all so graciously. Me and Dope feel so humble. And by the way, you all, Thomas Doty is going to treat us. He's going to come in town one day, and we're going to have a dinner for y'all to meet Thomas Doty in person.
You didn't tell me you were going to say that because again,
I'm going to put you on the spot. That's why you got to come through. All right, y'all. See y'all. Have a great day.